Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report Aftershow. And tonight, the After Show is brought to you by Audible.com. That's right. Go to audibletrial.com /Opperman Report, and you go there, you sign up, and you get a free audio book. So we still have with us Captain Ray Lewis, who's the retired Philadelphia police captain, who's become a full-time activist, man, and a protester and fighting for social justice. Now we've been joined by good old Mike Gray from not from Pacific West Bamboo, Mike Gray from InfinityHomeplans.com, a regular caller. We've also been joined by Mike Blue here from Portland Film the Police, and also by Keith Davis, who's my producer up there in Portland, Oregon, who just got arrested Saturday night up there covering for us the, the Jesse Jackson rally up there. So who would like to start off with a question for Captain Lewis?
Oh, I would.
Okay, go ahead, shoot.
Hi there, Captain Lewis. How are you?
All righty. I'm glad you're listening tonight.
Right on. I don't know if you remember me or not. We met twice, and I'll tell you the meetings. There was the Occupy Congress in 2012.
Absolutely, yes.
Right
that's where I was detained by the Capitol Police initially. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember. It was very inspirational. We were playing a game of Red Rover with the cops, but we were saying Red Rover, send liberty right over.
Oh.
Send
yes,
freedom right
yes.
over, and we would have a person run through the middle. Yeah. So I first met you then, and I also recently met you in August in Ferguson. I walked up to you with the camera, and you were holding your sign, and I shared a story with you where they detained me and searched me for weapons, and I told them that I didn't consent to search of my person.
Absolutely,
or my property. Yeah,
I know you.
I'm
We're all
guy.
friends.
Yeah. So I co-founded a group in Portland called Film the Police Portland, and basically we do the same kind of thing that Cop Watch started in the 1990s. And I have a few questions for you, actually. First question is...
let me interrupt you for a second, Mike, because Mike Blue here is going to be doing a show on CJ Mars and Hazy, I think, as well. Mike?
Say what now? Say that again?
Yeah, you're going to be doing a show on CJ Mars coming up soon. You're going to start your show soon, right? And
yes, I am. As soon as I figure out what time slot you guys want me to be on, I will be running the show with my good friend Joe Freedom, yes.
Excellent. Now, are you also going to be broadcast on Hazy and all the other stations as well, or just CJ?
I am not sure the details. I mean, I'm just excited about doing it, and I'll just I don't know.
Okay, gotcha. I gotta know from man. We don't know about Hazy yet, but great. But Mike Blue is going to be doing his own show on the station soon. And go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, shoot.
Sure, Captain Lewis. My question to you is: have you ever heard of a law called Title 18, Section 241, Conspiracy Against Rights? It's in the U.S. Criminal Code.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, okay, right on.
Well, we weren't concerned with rights. You have to understand, police aren't concerned with rights.
Well, I am a citizen cop watcher, and I've had hundreds of encounters with cops because I do this like a machine. Really, every weekend for the past 2 years, I've been out with the volunteers doing this, and I've been obsessing on my rights since then because watching police behave, they really are word ninjas. They get really great at manipulating people into giving up their rights. And I'll give an example, and then I'll ask you another question. The example is that I watch this happen constantly. Police will chase someone down, and I'll run behind, and I'll be going with them, and I'll arrive on the scene when they've detained the person finally. And that person, they're out of breath. They're in a state of, feeling like they're, underneath or beneath the policeman's authority because they've just been cuffed by them. And the cop will say, I'm going to listen to your side of the story, but first I have to tell you this. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney.
They said that to you? They said that to you?
No.
We never said that. I never heard an officer say that in my whole career, and I never said that in my whole career. That's just TV, friend.
No. I have a video I can show you. I watched them. They do this in Portland, Oregon. I
never heard of a real cop saying that.
In Portland, Oregon, they'll read it to you. They'll Mirandize you like on a card. They'll pull it out of their pocket. Seriously. So I watched them tell people that, and then they'll say, okay, now tell me your side of the story. And what that does is that they warn them that what you say can be used against you, but then all of a sudden, you can't tell your side of the story because you basically offered up your right to remain silent by explaining yourself. And I watch people just talk and talk and talk and talk their ways into handcuffs. And
exactly.
I find it crazy, if they just keep talking. But if you want to see that in shock and awe, Captain Lewis, just check out a video on YouTube. It's called it's Mike Bluehair, and it's Saturday Night Foot Chase, I believe is the name of that particular video. But I'll link it to you on Facebook later.
Okay,
but
good.
My question is that how do we, as cop watching activists, I mean, is there some way that we can see? I'm a little bit fearful of interfering with a cop when they're arresting someone and say, hey, you have a right to not talk to that cop.
Right.
But because they're going to grab me for interfering. I mean, what would be a good tactic, or do you have any suggestions of ways that we can educate the public better? Because I get really disheartened because I'm sitting there and I'm filming these police encounters and I'm saying under my breath, stop talking. There's nothing you can say to this cop that's going to help you. I mean, what do you suggest as how we as cop watchers and activists could educate the public about their rights?
Well, first of all, you got one thing right. You don't want to tell that person right there that they don't have to say anything because you will be arrested, if not worse. But
right.
I'm surprised that they are even allowing you to be filming them and not, taking your camera and arresting you for interfering with a police investigation and making your job impossible. I'm surprised you can even film them. That surprises me. However, the only way I can advise you to try to get that information out is where I got information, and that is by you guys, by independent media. And when I said I was down in Ferguson and wherever I go, even Zuccotti, when I was down there for almost a year, no major TV stations interviewed me. It was, except RT, Russian television, it was independent media. All those pictures on my website of me being arrested and the videos, that was not from mainstream media. That was from you guys.
That was all us. Yeah.
Yes, it was all you. It still is all you. When I'm at Ferguson, they had 2 or 3 sometime, these independent media videographers were in line waiting to interview. I had people from 7 countries, professional journalists and videographers wanted to interview me. France, Australia, Germany, Italy, Canada, and a few others were thrown in there. But mainstream America didn't find me that interesting. So you cannot count on any help from mainstream media. I would hit independent media. That's what got me involved in this whole thing years ago, was independent media. You guys are extremely intelligent. You developed your own media and an alternative media, and that's the only way I can help you.
Well, I just want to throw you a little ray of sunshine. We know who you are. I do not associate with people that aren't activists unless they're my direct family members. Those are the only kind of people I talk to. And every activist I know, and they're mostly alternative journalists, we all know who you are and we all support you. And
great,
you're viewed as a hero by us.
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, I mean, seriously. I mean, I will believe there is substantive police reform in this country when more cops have the testicular fortitude to stand up and do what you did. Because you're not anti-cop, you're anti-corruption. And,
yes.
I was inspired and I continue to be inspired by what you're doing. And keep it up.
Thank you.
It's very, very important. Yeah.
And you keep up. I'll keep up what I'm doing if you keep up what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely, man.
All right.
I mean, together we can take down this system of tyranny like a lion does a gazelle.
All righty.
Hey, let me ask both of you guys
man.
a question though. Now, what about if you had brought with you like a cassette player or a CD? I guess nowadays you got CD players. I'm showing my age, but a CD player, and you played there must be a song out there called "You Have the Right to Remain Silent." I'm sure there's one, right? A rap song or something. Couldn't you play that?
That's a brilliant idea.
That's
a brilliant idea. Get a rap song.
Yeah, I bet you can even get somebody to record one for you, man, and then just put on
the best thing I was asking for suggestions or something that I've been able to come up with myself or better than what I've been able to come up with. But sometimes the cops will actually let me give the person a business card, and I have flyers from the ACLU that I carry around. and that they have, am I being detained, officer? If I'm not being detained, am I free to go? I invoke my right to remain silent. I would like to speak with an attorney, officer. It has all those steps on it, but that's the best I can think of, is to have literature that you can hand to people, or even hand their friend after they've been arrested, and then maybe the literature will cycle, through the public somehow.
Yeah, you're looking at a multi-pronged strategy here, multi-tactics.
Right.
And keep this in mind, every little bit helps. One tactic's going to be better than the other. But if one tactic reaches so many people and it's not that nearly as many as the other tactic, you still reach that amount. So don't hesitate to use something, even though it might not be the best tactic.
Captain Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question. How did we get to the point in this country where SWAT teams are serving warrants for traffic violations?
Wow. We had SWAT in Philadelphia when I was there. They were only called out for major incidents, and what they're doing is they're just having a complete power trip, a complete control here. And now I know how they're going to justify it. They're going to say, well, some of these people are armed heavily and they can fire through the door and kill the officer serving a warrant. But there's an underlying reason.
And then why are the raids at 2 or 3 in the morning? Like they'll go in at 2 or 3 in the morning when the people are asleep.
Yeah,
and some of the people have kids and dogs, and they end up shooting a dog.
Yeah.
And there was one instance where they threw a flashbang grenade in a crib.
Yeah.
And it killed a little girl.
What you have to do on this is you have to determine what the warrant was for. If the warrant's for a murderer, I can see going in 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
I agree.
You want to get in, so you have to determine that on a case-by-case warrant as to what force would be necessary. Well, and the least one would be one for a traffic violation.
Well, exactly. What I'm saying is, can't we pass a law that says the SWAT team can only be used for federal, certain high crimes like murder, rape, or kidnapping?
You're never going to get a law passed, because no politician is going to pass a law that has anything to do with stifling police power, because when they run for office, they want support of that police union. They want the police, and they want white America, who have nothing to do with the police union. They want white America to see themselves as supporters of police. You get some politician to vote or propose any law that inhibits police powers, he better live in a very, very tiny progressive.
Like de Blasio got away with that, but normally, any politician, the one that always wins, has the police vote.
Yeah, they want that.
Yeah, that's like 99%. Yeah.
He's going out. Any politician that would do what you want to do is going out on a real slippery limb, and they're not going to do that.
How are you treated when you go out? And obviously, you're a retired police officer, captain. How are the police treating you?
Well, they don't bother me. They don't arrest me illegally, or they don't come up and threaten me. They basically leave me alone. But I have been getting a lot of threats now, and calling me a traitor, even from the Philadelphia police. An article was published in Philly.com, Philadelphia Inquirer, and after that article, I started to get hate information messages from Philadelphia police. And like I said earlier to Ed, I'm viewed, number one thing I've been called is a traitor. Little do they know I'm actually fighting for them. I don't want them put into situations that are going to risk their welfare or their health. I don't want to see them lose their pension. I don't want to. When I retired, we had health care for life. When I retired, it went down to 3 years. 3 years to life. Now they might not even have it. I know when I was on, they reduced pensions to new cops coming on. There were also a lot of I can't think of the word right now, but it's where you just attrition. Due to attrition, the police department shrunk, and you had to do a lot more work, get into a lot more dangerous situations with your help being quite further away. And you don't want that when you're working in a city area. You want your help very close because you have a lot of encounters where you need help. And if I put the call in Philadelphia was assist officer. That meant I needed help from other officers, and they would just zoom in with lights and sirens. And they were always there, within a minute, because we had enough officers to cover that. Now you put out an assist, and the officer's way over at the other side, and it could take him a good 10 minutes. So the economy affects police officers, the corrupt economy. So I am really fighting for them. They have no idea, though. They just think of me as a traitor. And as we all know, in the military, an army hates a traitor more than the actual enemy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So is the caller still there, Ed?
No, yeah, Mike's
I'm
here.
here. Yeah.
I'm still here as well.
So this is Keith Davis from Film and Police Portland, and also Multnomah County Cop Watch. But there's how you were speaking about, how the police are called on some misdemeanor thing and it turns into a SWAT raid. There was actually this guy, Darius Johnson, here in Portland, Oregon, and he was pulled over for a minor traffic stop, and I guess he was high on meth and some weed and stuff, but he wound up running from the police. And then the police sicked dogs on him for basically, a minor traffic stop that someone fled the scene. So you have a misdemeanor crime going on. So he was, chased down by police dogs, and then when they actually found him, he complained that he was having trouble breathing, but they basically denied him any medical attention, and then he died because of that. And they brought up at City Hall this last week during a discussion about Portland Police Bureau officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths. And a lot of people were saying, that they didn't used to just sick dogs on people for just simple minor crimes. That's pretty outrageous. And then the fact that this man actually died after being denied any medical attention, it just shows that just some minor crime or something that's perceived as crime that might not even be a crime in an actual true society that was free, that people are dying over just really stupid small stuff.
No, absolutely. In fact, if the police department is professional, they'll have very strict guidelines as to when a police dog can be released. And one of those guidelines coincides with what you said. For misdemeanor, you do not release a dog. For a felony, yes. You have to also realize that a lot of those canine officers, they're itching to release that dog. They want to release that dog, and subsequently they will release them for really petty stuff. And why? Two reasons. Number one, the reason the department might not have a written policy. Number two, even if he does release him and it violates that policy, he knows nothing's going to happen to him. That policy is just basically put out to cover the police commissioner's butt. That way, if somebody does bring up the fact that this officer released the dog for a minor violation, well, the police commissioner says, okay, yes, he did violate our policy. We will take a necessary disciplinary action. But the police commissioner, if there's not a big fuss made about it, he knows violations are going on about releasing dogs, but they don't do anything. And so there's the other reason the canine officer knows he can get away with it, because he's never held accountable for violating the policy.
One thing I also wanted to ask you is, I've heard a lot. I've actually seen police dog injuries when I went to jail for a little marijuana in California in 1989 when I was 19 years old. But I've always heard that a lot of the police dogs are actually trained to attack, and they train them with different drugs like methamphetamine and cocaine for and also that they basically the dog's reward is basically to bite people, and that they train them with human blood and stuff like that. Is there truth to that, or I'm not sure the whole.
I was never a canine officer, and as a captain, I did not want them in my district at all, unless it was for sniffing. Other than that, I only use them for their nose, not for their teeth. But I don't know anything about using them with drugs or human blood. I can easily imagine them using some type of blood, animal blood, or even human blood, perhaps. But I know how they basically train them to get vicious by constantly agitating them. That brings out the aggression in a dog. For instance, the dog would be tied, and they will have somebody else other than the trainer, obviously, come up and tease them with a stick, and just keep on getting that dog irritated, and that they start with that base, which I think is very cruel, by the way. I think they should get rid of. I don't think any police officer should have a dog other than for his sniffing ability. It's just a cruel way. And not only that, it's like you almost have a loose gun. Once that dog is released, that's a loose gun. That dog can kill. And you have a loose gun, that's the last thing you want, a weapon out there that you no longer have control of. Those dogs are well-trained, yes, but they are not robots. They have a mind of their own. They can get carried away, and when the officer is 50 yards away and he's shouting for the dog to stop and come back, don't count on that dog. Once a dog gets in that, they go into a different sphere, a sphere of frenzy. Even a cop or any human being, you start fighting, and you go into a different mind mode. It's a frenzy, and you're not thinking reasonably. You're not thinking rationally. And this the same way with the dog. Once you tip them into that frenzy mode, I would say 99 out of 100 times, the officer has got to go up and yank that dog off. It is very hard to get a dog trained to stop fighting once they have started being that aggressive. So yeah, I'm totally against dogs being used in police work, except for their sniffing ability.
Yeah, up here in Portland, Oregon, we have TriMet, which is the public transportation system. But frequently, I see police dogs used even at TriMet stops to check people for their fares, which kind of reeks like a Nazi Germany checkpoint or something.
Oh my goodness.
And also the people that work for TriMet not only employs actual members of the police, but they also employ members of G4S Security, which are one of the largest mercenary groups around the world. But I actually have a companion animal, and I have a license for my companion animal. And one time I was trying to get onto the train, and this cop's dog, it almost attacked my dog and ripped it to shreds. It was a big Doberman Pinscher, and my dog is a pretty small 19, 20-pound dog,
Oh, wow.
So
it doesn't matter what size your dog is. Your dog could have been a St. Bernard. It shows that this other dog is not in control.
Yeah, and this guy is basically just, carrying around some vicious animal that's on the verge of attacking anything. So, it's a real problem, I think, this just employing dogs and, turning them into killing machines instead of, just for simple drug searches and stuff like that,
I did not want them in my district.
Okay, we're coming up to a break, but we were joined by Christian Wallace. Hey, Chris, you got a question you want to ask?
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm coming up with one, and I'll be on in a second. I got to mute for a second. Okay.
That's right then. Okay. Yeah, we're coming up with a break in about another 4 minutes. So anybody else has a quick question for the captain?
Oh, I was just going to say, too, that you kind of pointed out that you were surprised that we don't get arrested for filming and stuff and filming the police and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, within the last 2 months, 3 members of Film the Police Portland, including me and Bob from Film the Police, and also Demetrius Cooper. Demetrius Cooper, actually, he got arrested back in October, and he did over 2 weeks in jail. He's a 19-year-old black teenager, and he was just in the police parking lot, which is public property, and he was filming the outside of the police station, and they came up and they tased him, they maced him, and they threw him in jail for over 2 weeks. And then, you know, as a black teenager, they treated him entirely different than me, Mike, and Bob, because me, Mike, and Bob, we went out to the Beaverton police station, the same location, just a couple of weeks after that happened. And we went out there and we filmed, and then, you know, we went up to the speaker and we actually, you know, filmed in the parking lot, and nothing happened to us other than 2 cops came out from the Starbucks and one of them snapped our photo. But Demetrius Cooper, one of his terms, he basically took a plea bargain so he could get out of jail, but he one of his terms of his probation was to not go back to their property. And he was in the adjacent property, and he never stepped foot on their property again. But he was there when me and Bob and Mike were filming out there. But the police said that he had violated his probation by going back on their property, and they arrested him and threw him back into jail about a week ago. So, you know,
Well, let me ask you this: what was the charge that he had? That he got 2 weeks for? Let
me give a little bit more details.
Yeah.
You know,
Demetrius. Yeah, I've read all 4 of his arresting officers' police reports. They said he was trespassing originally. That's why they contacted him. That's just ludicrous because it was in a parking lot, a public parking lot that says public parking in a big sign. So their initial contact was, a reason for contacting him was trespassing, and he had a $2,000 laptop on his lap. And the officer said, "Get up, you're under arrest." And Demi did not comply with that order because if he would have got up, it would have dumped $2,000 worth of his property on the ground. And so they got him for resisting arrest because a struggle ensued because they were being very heavy-handed with him. And when he plea bargained to get out after the first 2 weeks in jail, he pled guilty to the resisting arrest, and the district attorney threw out his trespassing charge because that's absolutely ludicrous. But then they say he was violating his probation when he was on the adjacent property. As Bob and I and Keith circle the building, we actually take close-up video to see how far we could push it of the inside of their SWAT vehicle. They keep their SWAT vehicle in the parking lot, you know, and no police contacted us at all except to walk out and snap our picture. Incidentally, I was also wearing a very large pink pig mask the whole time, you know, but we don't get charged with fictitious crimes and thrown in jail and beaten up and tasered and pepper sprayed, you know, when there's a group of us, because I believe they're A, cowards, and B, racist, because they would approach a teenage boy by himself, but not three grown men walking around, you know, because that might.
The cops actually avoided us too.
You know.
The cops actually avoided us. They were like going out of their way to not have any contact with us, but then they swooped in on him like nothing, you know.
How about that? That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay,
that's crazy. Oh,
we're going to have to take a break. We're going to take a little break here, and we'll be right back after this. But a couple of things I want to get into is, Mike Blue here, I want to ask you about that shield that you carry around.
Sure.
He has Captain, he has his own riot shield that he carries around with him now.
Okay. I want to know where he got it.
I know. Yeah, he has a riot
we'll talk
shield.
about that when I get back.
And I also want to get into the story about how the hugging cop, the motorcycle cop up there in Portland who was photographed and hugging the little boy who was giving away free hugs.
Talk about that.
Yeah, how later on he was witnessed running over civilians in his motorcycle. And we'll get into that. You know, and even
within a few hours.
And even after that, they had him on CNN and all that kind of stuff. But we got to take a break. We got Captain Ray Lewis. We got with us Mike Gray, our sponsor. We got Christian Wallace. We got Mike Blue here, Film the Police, Portland Film the Police. We got my producer, Keith Davis, who's also with Portland Film the Police. And we're going to bring in Bob, too. I guess one more call we're going to have. It's going to be a loaded call. But we'll be right back after this break.
You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York.
If you're looking for essential oils, stop by and check out Essentially Tammy on Facebook. She is Young Living Essential Oils Independent Distributor. These 100% therapeutic grade oils help support the body's natural functions. You can click on her website posted on Essentially Tammy, that's T-A-M-I, to see the current deals and check out the benefits of oils such as frankincense, joy, valor, lemon, thieves, panaway, and many more. Email Jocotami, that's Jocatami @yahoo.com, or call 352-239-8546. That's 352-239-8546. Hey, don't forget good old Amanda at Pacific West Bamboo. Pacific West Bamboo, 503-839-8126. You can reach her at demroots@oppermail.com. Pacific West Bamboo, your #1 source for timber, construction, and craft-grade bamboo poles, plants, products, and more. They specialize in eco-friendly reclaimed wood products for the home and garden. They're located in Portland, Oregon, servicing the Northwest for over 10 years. They can be reached at 503-839-8126. That's 503-839-8126. Her Facebook page is Pacific West Bamboo. They can and do ship nationwide, and they're currently getting a new line of bamboo flooring, veneers, and laminates made from Guadawa bamboo, one of the world's strongest bamboos, grown and produced and manufactured in Central America using only economically and environmentally friendly practices and standards. Good old Mike Gray at infinityhomeplans.com. Check out Infinity Home Plans and Design Services, your resource for 3D and 2D draftsman services. They offer a multitude of products, including stock home plans, 2D digital drawings, 3D models, renderings, and more. That's infinityhomeplans.com. Hey, don't forget emailrevealer.com. That's my website, emailrevealer.com. And we offer all different kinds of services. Current place of employment locate. Let's say you're trying to locate where your ex-husband or your ex-wife is working so you can collect on child support. You contact us, we can locate their place of employment for you and help you collect on that child support. Let's say you think that your husband or your wife is cheating on you. Give us their email address and we can trace it back to online dating websites and dating services. So we have a multitude of services on emailrevealer.com. Hey, don't forget the New World Mexican Women. Okay, now just Google New World Mexican Women. You can find their book where they first describe their love letters to their men and their sons and their uncles and their brothers who have traveled from South America to North America to work as migrant workers. But the women down in this town there in Guerrero, Mexico, they want their men to come back. So they've written these beautiful love letters, and they've put them all in this beautiful coffee table book. First, the letters are written in Spanish, handwritten. You can see pictures of the people writing the books. And then it comes on after that, and it's typewritten in English. And then also, too, the second half of the book is teaching you how to make authentic Mexican jewelry from these New World Mexican women. You can find their book on lulu.com. It's only $19, or you can download the digital edition for free. That's New World Mexican Women, and it's a two-part book where first part is the love letters, and the second part is the making the handmade jewelry, the authentic Mexican jewelry. But you can also contact them, too, as well, if you want to get a deal on wholesale jewelry from Mexico, from these women. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report After Show. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Don't forget audible.com. You go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. That's how you support the show. You go there and you help us out by signing up for stuff like that. We got a little couple of pennies. We got a couple of shekels from audible.com. You can also support the show by going to the PayPal, oppermanreport@gmail.com, and sending us a donation, because we're at a critical kind of point here. We're trying to move forward We're adding on all these different stations here, but we're stretched thin. Let's put it that way. We're extremely stretched thin. And also, too, we need a volunteer for Cindy Jean-Pierre, for CJ Mars Radio. We need technical people to come in and work the boards and work the SAM broadcaster and work Skype and produce the shows. So if you want to get a credit as a radio producer, here's your chance. You can get in here, get training, and learn how to do this and help us out. Because CJ Mars Radio, they're picking up a whole slew. Mike Bluehair is going to be on there soon. We got Josh Brookshire is going to be on there soon. We got Tom Sheridan is going to be on there soon. And we're working on Nick Katsouris from the Ignorance Equation. We're going to bring him in there as well. So this is a whole new group of people with their own following, all coming on doing shows. So we're really growing really, really fast, really quick, and we need your help. Now, we're here tonight with Captain Ray Lewis from Philadelphia, Occupy Wall Street. He's a full-time activist now. Mike Gray from InfinityHomeplans.com. Christian Wallace is here. He's a host on Infornation on CJ Mars Radio. Mike Bluehair from Portland Film the Police. And Keith Davis, my often arrested producer, who is a victim everywhere. Yeah. I can't walk out his door without getting hit. Now, let's start. There's so much we got to get into. How about the story about the hugging cop? The wonderful.
Wait! You said I get to talk about my riot shield.
Oh yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. So Captain Lewis wants to know where the heck I got it. Well, eBay is a beautiful place. If you type corrections riot shield into eBay, you can buy one. Buy a polycarbonate police riot shield. It's not ballistic rated, but it's really great because you can see through it. It's the most awesome videography tool that I've come across for filming protests, because you don't have to worry about the police pepper spraying because you can film right through it. It's transparent. It weighs about 6 pounds, and you can strap it on your arm. And I think it's essential equipment. Unfortunately, I was mass arrested and then let go on the 29th of November, and I believe the police swiped it from me, but I'm going to order another one. But to answer your question, Captain Lewis, you can just buy one on eBay, and they're not too heavy, actually. You can.
Okay. I was just curious. If I have to use one of them, I'm going to think twice about what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but I was curious.
How much is it though? What's the cost?
I got it for $56 on eBay. I just ordered it.
Okay.
Yeah. The stuff I do is kind of dangerous, especially the protest stuff. I mean, honestly, there's stuff thrown from both sides. Some of the protests I cover, when I used to cover the FTP marches in Oakland, people would throw bricks and bottles at the cops. I mean, and I'm no lover of the police. I'm an anarchist, but that's just what I saw. And if you're going to purposely put yourself as a videographer between people that throw flashbang grenades and people that shoot rubber bullets and people that shoot bean bags out of 12-gauge shotguns and people that pepper spray and people that throw rocks and bottles at each other, you're going to probably think about, investing in a riot shield.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's only $50, I'd go for that. But it's legal to carry, right?
Yeah, $56 on eBay. Just type riot shield into eBay and you can buy one if you want out there, listeners. And something else, Captain Lewis, you said you're surprised that I don't get arrested. I have been arrested. I've had cameras smashed, and I actually have 3 bulging discs in my upper back from police beatings. So you just have to kind of, if you're going to do what I do, you're going to have to figure out how to suspend your fear and just realize that you could get beaten, you could get arrested. But I focus on the fact that what I'm doing is important, and I believe that it's bigger than me. You're a true you are a true journalist. You're a warrior. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate the words, but I just hope people will get to a point to where it becomes a social norm, where everyone will pull their camera out, because the Supreme Court has ruled numerous times that it's your First Amendment right. But people constantly contact me when I'm on the street every weekend. Is that even legal? And hopefully one day when enough people scrutinize the police and enough people film them, that it becomes a social norm. I can film wildlife, or I can enjoy walks in the park, on the weekends with my girlfriend and my dog, and I don't have to do this stuff,
Right. But you're making sacrifices because you have a strong sense of moral justice.
Yeah, these guys are out there full time. Both Mike and Bob and Keith are out there, full time street activists. Hey, Christian Walsh, do you have any questions for Captain Lewis now, or?
Sure. I just wanted to. I think you made a good point earlier, Ed, about how the police have changed over the years, and how when you guys would actually get into physical scrapes with them, it was never even an issue that you thought you would be, hurt or shot. Or even arrested, possibly? I mean, what is this militarization of the police? What could you guys speak to that a little bit? What specifically changed, or what precipitated the change from whatever year it was because Ed's pretty ancient, but whatever year it was that was going on with Ed and to now, or when the actual change took place, when there was what was the big thing that changed it that we see happening today that's so pervasive?
Well, it's interesting you say that about the physical altercations. Since I was sent to the ghetto, where a lot of people they're so miserable, they're so unhappy with their lot in life, with the discrimination and the oppression they deal with every day, that they go to alcohol, and that's the easiest, cheapest way for them to escape their situation. But it also makes them sometimes a little more courageous in taking on the police. A girlfriend or a wife will call, the individual has been drinking, and when we get there, he's going to show more resistance to be put out of the house than if he wasn't drinking. The other thing, they want to save the last amount of pride that they have by resisting the police. They to show his wife or his girlfriend, I'm still a man. I'm not just going to go out obedient. I'm going to fight this guy. That plays a psychological part also in these confrontations. But anyway, knowing I was going to get in a physical confrontations, I actually did two things. I started lifting weights very seriously, and although I lost 25 pounds of muscle and bulk now, but when I was in there, I was 6'3", 225, and that was strength. In fact, me and my buddy on the wagon, we were called the disturbance wagon, because any disturbance, they knew there would be fighting, most probably, and they would give us the call. But anyway, the other thing I did, which is very telling, I bought a groin protector that football players wear and whatnot, so if they get kicked in the groin, it doesn't immobilize them.
Yeah, cup.
A cup, yeah. And
I used to bring those to the demonstrations when I used to protest when I was a kid.
Oh, geez. I did not want to be put in that compromising position of being in that immobilizing pain, and my adversary would have the advantage. So there are two things. I lifted weights very seriously, and I also ran. I started a running program that in case I had to chase anybody, I could keep up with them. This was all geared around physical confrontation if, in fact, it was called for. The one thing I did not do, and you're allowed to do this, you can go to the pistol range as a cop on your time off, any day, any night, up until 9 o'clock on your days off. You could go to the pistol range, and they'd give you ammunition to shoot, to practice.
Really?
I never did that because of the fact that that's my mode of thinking was not in shooting people, but it was in grappling with people and physically handling the problem. You're right. It has changed from that to now shooting. And the reason, what I see is that's being the militarization of the police plays in here. They're going with the enforcing the law now through more force, and it's being supported by your police commissioners and by governments that are handing them this equipment.
I think around the 80s there was a phrase that came up, officer safety. Officer safety. I don't remember hearing it before that, but it came on because I was friends with a lot of cops in Staten Island, and it just came on the scene. Officer safety. That was the priority. That the most important thing was that the officer would not be injured or get into a fight or get hurt or anything like that. And would go home.
Ed, I preach that at roll calls. And it's funny for you who are not police, you don't even understand the impact of that. Captains never go to roll call. They're never seen. I mean, when I was a patrol officer, I didn't even know the name of the captain, let alone. If I would have passed him in the hallway, I wouldn't have known that was the captain. And that's the way they wanted it. They didn't want any bother. They wanted to come in the back door, out the back door. But I attended roll call because I knew my appearance would have a good effect, a strong effect. And I can't tell you how much I preached officer safety. But then when I would verbally discipline someone for violating what I set down, Captain Lewis does not want us to be real police. For instance, if you ever chase a guy with a gun or a knife into a house, you got him trapped. That's exactly where you want him. You call for backup. Somebody takes the back door. You stay at the front door. Now it's only a matter of time. You call in a SWAT team negotiator. He's trained in negotiating with this individual. If it's something where someone's screaming inside, help, he's stabbing me, or help, I need help, then you can rush in. But you stop that pursuit as soon as you get put at the disadvantage. By that I mean when he runs into that house, he can take cover behind the wall that separates the kitchen and the dining room. And guess what? As soon as you run in the kitchen, he's got you. He's got the knife in you, or he's got the gun shooting you. But cops being so gung-ho and wanting to make that arrest and get the glory and get the overtime. Overtime is the major factor in making arrests, the money. It's always come down to the money, doesn't it? But anyway, I preached the safety. Also high-speed pursuits. I banned high-speed pursuits in my district because they're going to kill somebody more so than save somebody. And boy, when I came out with no high-speed pursuits, which means no pursuits, because every pursuit is high-speed, no pursuits. Oh, Captain Lewis, he's against us being police. He wants us to be babysitters. However, these were the cops that wanted the money. They wanted to catch that guy so they can go to court for whatever they would charge him with. But I can follow you 100%. Safety first was always my motto, and that went along with my other motto, all side with caution. I'm done.
Okay.
So I wanted to say, I think another thing too with the whole militarized police thing is it makes a more militarized response by people too. So basically the system's playing off everyone to fight amongst themselves, whether it's cops against the people, and a lot of these cops, they really are just there for the paycheck and a lot of other things, everyone wants job security. So basically, they're playing off people that just are trying to get a paycheck against each other too. Meanwhile, all the people that are really running the show are kind of just looking back and laughing at it all. They are literally laughing.
And one thing I'll tell you, in New York City, when we surrounded Wall Street, and this is on the internet, you can find it. There were the super rich stockbrokers. These aren't the owners of the companies, but these stockbrokers are well-to-do. They were out on a little balcony, men and women, and they actually had the nerve. They wanted to insult the protesters at the bottom. They poured champagne into crystal glasses out on that balcony, looked down at the protesters, and you can see that they were actually laughing.
Wow.
Let them eat cake. And they are literally up there laughing, as you said, figuratively.
Yep, because you can tell a lot of these cops, whether they are heavy-handed or a little crazy or have various issues. A lot of these cops don't even want to be doing what they're doing. They're just kind of there for a paycheck. So basically, they can get one part of the population to kill off and control the other part of the population. Meanwhile, they're just sitting there laughing, pouring champagne, watching it all like the Hunger Games or something,
That's all it is to these people. It's a game. To these people, it's all of life, all of the country. It's nothing but one big monopoly game to them. And getting money, buying more real estate, getting more powerful. And how does somebody win the game of Monopoly? You win when no one has any money left.
That's
and
right.
No one has any property left.
Monopoly game for sociopaths.
Yes,
okay,
it is.
Well, let me
Yes,
ask the group this, because during the break we were talking about the crisis actors and false flags and stuff like that. Now, just recently we saw, because we have a couple of guys here from Portland there who were there on the scene, and we saw this whole big scripted TV show with this wonderful motorcycle cop who was out there in the crowd, and he saw this little boy who was 12 years old, had a sign that said free hugs, and this kind-hearted cop went over there and hugged the little boy, and there just happened to be a bunch of photographers there taking pictures, and then he just happened to go on this tour, or, on CNN or something like that. Now, what can you guys tell us, Mike and Keith and Bob?
What about me?
Oh boy.
One thing I can say actually is his name is Sergeant Brett Barnum.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Barnum and Bailey, the Barnum and Bailey police state game or something. But I'll let Mike take the mic or someone else. I just want to point that out.
Well, I'm going to say this. Well, let me give my opinion first, or second here. That was despicable propaganda. Okay? All of America now sees, the police aren't so bad. I mean, of course, and they always go back, of course there's going to be a few rotten apples, just as there were a few rotten pedophile priests. And that's the way they justify their continuing support of the church, let alone the fact that all of these people in the church knew these priests were pedophiles, and they didn't do anything. The same with here, the police. You have to understand, CNN and they want to present that. They want white America loving their police because they're going to use the police departments to take over in case there's a second Occupy uprising. That local police departments, unmanned and unequipped, without military equipment, would not be able to handle it. So they want to make sure police departments have the necessary equipment, military equipment, to handle any second bigger Occupy protest. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, as far as crisis actors, I just want to say one thing, okay? When you go back and you could look at the interviews of the family members and the friends and whoever, none of them cry, and they all laugh and giggle throughout the interview.
Okay, Mike, I know you're really heavily into crisis actors this week, okay, because you've been sending me 100 videos. But
I know.
But we got some first-hand eyewitnesses to this motorcycle.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'd like to give my 2 cents. First of all, hats off to Captain Lewis, because he and I are of one mind in this regard. It is shameless, bald-faced propaganda. There's going to be a news story breaking, and it's going to break here first on TJ Mars here on the Opperman report. Here's a news story, okay? And I'm going to meet with these folks to actually get the details tomorrow to get it more solid. But, okay, every police department or bureau has a public information officer. And it's this officer's job to disseminate information about the police to the citizenry and to the mass media, to the major networks. Well, our public information officer has been in a long-term exclusive sexual relationship with a major news anchor for KGW Channel 8. So you want to talk about, for the love of authority, or if you want to talk about conflict of interest. So
yes,
one
definitely.
of our major news anchors.
Hey, wait. Is this a guy and a girl, or what's this a girl and a guy?
A guy and a girl. Yes.
Oh, okay.
A guy and a girl. Yeah. So and if you go to KGW Channel 8 in Portland, Oregon's Twitter page, you will see nothing but bald-faced propaganda story about how lovely the police are, and just la-di-la-di-la, they're here to serve and protect you, yada, yada, yada. I mean, the police are your friends, and that's why we have that kind of pervasive kind of thing going on in Portland. So that's one thing. And another thing is, yes, personal eyewitness. Yeah. Portland Police Bureau have a tactic that they use to break up a march and to stop its momentum. And what they do when a march is marching, if they're trying to be good and stay on the sidewalk and not take over the street, the police will overzealously here in Portland maintain the crossing signals. So they will have the motorcycles do a rolling picket, and they keep just making a right turn and a right turn and a right turn and crossing through the crosswalks, and the motorcycles will make sure that when the light turns green, they will rev their motorcycles and they will drive them really slowly through the crowd of people, so that the mass of people can't work together as an effective group. They also do it with the bike patrol or the guys on the bicycles, and they will swing the bicycles at you or use them as blockades, kind of like a hockey check, but they hit your body with them. So they do that every single march I go to. That's just a common Portland Police Bureau tactic on how to deal with the march on the sidewalk. So this guy that, was getting all huggy, lovey-dovey with that kid, yes, I watched him do that all afternoon. Well, actually, no, I'm lying. It was about 2 hours. I watched him do it over and over again at the crosswalks, nearly hit people with his bike. But he wasn't alone. That's just common Portland Police Bureau tactic to do that. Ask anybody who goes to our marches, they'll tell you that. But the mainstream media, they have like 4 cameras there. They don't report that. They don't report that, they'll only show when an anarchist shoves a cop. Well, you know what? If I was walking down the street and someone nearly hit me with a motorcycle 8 times at every block that I go through, maybe I want to shove somebody, or maybe I want to pick something up and throw it. But this pattern of harassment and antagonism that you see at a quote unquote march that's being leveled against people, and these are swore oaths to the Constitution to protect, people's rights of freedom of assembly and their right to petition their government for redress of grievance. I mean, there's just a level of hypocrisy and the propaganda that's spit by these outlets is just incredible. I mean,
hey, well, let me interrupt you
because
you brought up something that the Oath Keepers, because all these stories too about the Oath Keepers showing up down there in Ferguson and we're protecting buildings and stuff like that. Do you guys know anything about that?
I know about them showing up, but I've never seen them really up here in Portland at all.
What about in Ferguson,
No,
Captain?
In Ferguson, I was told by one of the little uppers in authority with the Oath Keepers that to let him know when I was there that if I needed any protection, that they would send me a sufficient number of Oath Keepers to provide protection for me. But I'm not really sure what the Oath Keepers are all about.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable with them. If they went out to Bundy's ranch, I don't feel comfortable. I mean, of all the things they could have picked on I mean, why weren't they at Occupy? Why aren't they at these other protests? Why did they pick to defend a tax dodger? A racist tax dodger.
Captain,
whoa! Wait, come on, oh boy.
What? Bundy was a racist. He's a racist for sure.
No, he's
Could I speak to that?
It's okay.
Captain Lewis.
And members of his family were part of the NSA too.
Well, not only that, you guys know my shows that I did on the Bundy Ranch and on the Millers, who were turned out to be Asian provocateurs from start to finish. They would occupy Wall Street. They were at the Million Mask March, and then they went up to Bundy Ranch, and they were the guys that started the rumors that about the drone attack that would cause the rift between the Oath Keepers and the 3%ers up there. Where everything fell apart. And then they come down here to Vegas and they shoot 2 cops in a Cece's Pizza, and the whole standoff in Walmart.
If that really happened.
No, it definitely happened. All that definitely happened. I can guarantee you, 'cause I went to Walmart.
I know that, I want to go off topic a little bit, but I know that we did want to discuss on the show tonight about what happened to Bob. Could I talk about that a little? Yeah,
I'd like to get that. Well, you know what? We have a break coming up right now, a nice little 4-minute break. So when we come back, let's get into the whole story about how you guys got busted over there covering the Jesse Jackson rally. And it's kind of funny because you guys I'm going to put the video up on the Opperman Report blog, because you got Keith Davis, my wonderful producer, who works so hard for us all the time. And all he keeps saying to this cop is, I'm from the Opperman Report. I'm a member of the media. Where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do?
You saw disorderly conduct. Huh?
Yeah, he says it like 40 times. I'm a member of the media. I'm from the Opperman Report. And it's really hard to say the Opperman Report. I can say because I say it all the time. But he's kind of like flubbering it. I'm a member of the Opperman Report. He can't really say it. And the poor guy gets arrested. I don't know what he did. Getting arrested. But we'll be right back after this. Maybe we'll all get arrested tonight. Who knows? Okay, the night's young, okay? Maybe Captain Lewis will come out of retirement and put us all in cuffs. Michael used his shield. Okay? So we'll be right back after this nice little 4-minute break. We'll take a nice little break. We'll come right back. God bless you all. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report After Show. We're having a great time here. It's a serious topic, but still we're all enjoying ourselves. And we've been blessed to have Captain Ray Lewis tonight. He was only supposed to do an hour, but he's such a great guy. He stayed on for another 2 hours, did the after show with us, and God bless him for that. So, but he's tired now. He's an old tired man. He has to get
true. I'm not gonna hold it against you for telling the truth.
Where are you now? You're up in the Adirondacks right now? Up in the Catskills? Yeah. Okay, so why don't you say goodbye to us, my friend, and thank you so much. You got an open ticket here. You ever get something you want to promote, you want to announce, give me a call the day before. I'll put you right on the air.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I would just like to thank everybody who participated here. I'd like to thank Ed for having me on, and I'd like to thank all the listeners that spend time listening to me. And if you take two things out of this, keep in mind that if you're not quite on board here with what I'm saying, I understand that very well. I was exactly where you were at years ago, but then I got educated through the internet. Watch the documentary Inside Job, and also go to Crooks and Liars on the internet, and you'll start reading the things that I read that gave me that were sources of truth, and you'll come about to see what I'm saying is very reasonable, if not altogether true. Alrighty, thanks everybody, and take care.
Sir. Well, never mind.
Well, do you have another question?
Meltdown's another good documentary to follow that up with, if you want to.
All right, well, the captain needs to get to bed. Good night, Captain. Thank you very much.
Captain.
All right, guys. You guys want to tell the story about the...
Yeah, I would like to tell the story about what happened with Bob.
Okay, go.
And then, all right, well, on the 29th of last month, which was just a couple days ago, there was a confrontation. That was kind of a standoff in front of the Macy's out here in Portland, where you had a row of protesters. There's about, I don't know, 500 or 600 people, and then there's a row of riot cops. And the protesters were marching towards the riot cops, and the riot cops were making a strategic retreat where they'd walk backwards really slow. And they announced over the loudspeaker, "Do not follow the officers," yada, yada, yada. And I was standing there with, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 kids behind me, and they were all chanting, rest in peace, Michael Brown, every cop in the ground and whatnot. And there was some nasty verbiage being thrown, but no weapons or any violence that I could see. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 4 flashbang grenades get lobbed at not me and all the angry anarchists, but there was a girl and 2 guys and Bob, which is one of our Film the Police Portland members, and they all landed right in the rough vicinity of those 4. So I just found it just really weird and shocking. And then literally I counted how many seconds it took for the police to charge the crowd. The police charged the crowd in exactly 15 seconds. So they throw out these concussive grenades. They blow up. There's people disoriented and blind, and the police wait 15 seconds, and all that whole riot line of cops just charge into the crowd. That just freaks people out, and they start trampling each other. It was the behavior of these cops was just in bald-faced, reckless endangerment of literally hundreds of people's lives right there in front of me. Later, I'd say about 40 minutes to an hour after that, the police basically kettled off all of those people that had marched to a different location and mass arrested everyone. They made an announcement over the loudspeaker that everybody on the sidewalk is under arrest.
Right.
Everybody in the streets is under arrest. So there's nowhere to disperse. There is no dispersal order given before they say we're all under arrest. Well, since I am a student of the law and a student of my rights, I understand that if an officer gives you an order that's unintelligible, your lawyer has a lot of wriggle room to get you out of it. So I immediately got on the bullhorn, and started explaining to the entire crowd, everyone get out your iPhone and start recording my words because I'm about to say something very important. We were given 2 contradictory orders. There was no dispersal order. We all need to go to a jury trial and explain to this. And I also cited the exact law that hundreds of cops were breaking right there in front of God and everybody in the internet, which is Title 18, Section 241 of the U.S. Criminal Code. It's called conspiracy against rights. If you're listening to this, just type that into Google and read it. Title 18, Section 241, conspiracy against rights. It has to do with if 2 or more people conspire to deny you of any of your rights that are afforded to you by the Constitution, it's a felony, literally. So all these cops, hundreds of them, committed at least 400 or 500 felonies because there's at least 400 people there, maybe even 500 that they deny their civil rights to. So they changed their mind at the last minute, but and let most of the crowd out. But they did snatch up 10 people. Among the 10 people snatched up happened to be mostly alternative media folks. Bob was one of them. He's a volunteer for Film the Police Portland. They grabbed Keith Davis, which you're listening to now on air. They grabbed Hart Noecker, who released a story and published the fact that quite a few Portland Police Bureau officers were wearing little things over their name badges on their Facebook profiles. I am Darren Wilson, and one of the cops that actually had that on his badge was in charge of driving all the 10 prisoners to the jail, and then they kept everyone in zip ties for at least 2 hours, some people for longer than that. Bob, just so you know, the flashbang grenade was thrown less than 3 feet in front of Bob's feet. Okay, instead of the crowd of people that looked like they were prepared to resist the police that I was standing in, the cowards throw it at a bunch of people standing there holding cameras. 5 people alone closest to the police, as opposed to the black block that I was standing in. I mean, I am so pissed off. It's just so cowardly to watch them do that. I mean, Bob.
Oh, wait, Mike.
Right.
Let's start off with this. There were a bunch of Portland cops that were posting on Facebook saying, "I am Darren Wilson."
Yes, they had pictures of their badges with a blue bar over it, like the thin blue line of silence, and it said, "I am Darren Wilson" on it. One of the activists that actually published that information, Hart Noecker, was actually one of the lucky few to be chosen to be arrested out of that mass kettle. So was Bob.
One thing I want to point out too is on 10/26/2014, right before these arrests, I went down to City Hall and I talked about the I am Darren Wilson cops in front of the mayor. And last time I checked, which was earlier today, they still hadn't posted the video from the City Hall testimony that I gave last week.
They probably censored it last time you were on there talking about pedophiles.
Okay, but the thing is that 2 of these reporters out of the 3 were complaining about these cops having these I am Darren Wilson banners on their Facebook page. Then these cops, but the cops were pulled off the street. There was some kind of retribution to these cops, correct?
Portland Police Bureau communicated through Mike Reese, our police chief, that disciplinary measures might be wrought against them if indeed it was a Portland Police Bureau policy violation. So that's
on top of the 3 cops too. On top of the 3 cops, there was 19 other members of the Portland Police too that put like next to their I am Darren Wilson badge too.
And just to finish with Bob's story, Bob was actually hospitalized. Okay, he communicated to the jail nurse while he was sitting there in his handcuffs or his zip ties, that he's feeling dizzy. That they took his blood pressure. And what was your blood pressure, Bob?
It was 150 something over 120.
Yeah, it was 150 over 120 or 150 something.
How old are you, Bob?
49.
Okay.
How old?
49.
Oh, okay. That's high blood pressure there, Bob.
Well, but
yeah, they were really concerned that he might, get really, really sick. So they arrested him off in an ambulance. The mainstream media here in Portland are not reporting the fact that these flash grenades were used in the way that they were used. They said that they used them to disperse the crowd. People think that these things are just a firecracker. No, these things are designed to stun someone so that you can blind them and
deafen you
shoot
momentarily.
them.
But wait,
but
Mike, hold on. Now the thing is, now was he also on Facebook complaining about these cops with the "I am Darren Wilson" banners?
He was not, but Bob goes out with me every single weekend and films the police.
Okay, now Mike,
member of Filming Police Portland.
Were you on?
There was 3 cops, right? And there was Rich Storm, Rob Blank, which if his Facebook URL is point blank,
right?
And then there's another cop, Chris Barber. Those were the 3 cops, right? And this one officer, Rich Storm, he worked as the custody van driver and took a bunch of us to the East Precinct to be processed, and he was looking in the cells and wandering around in the hallway. So he had me, who talked crap about him down at City Hall earlier that week, and the other I am Darren Wilson cops. And then Hart Noecker was there, and then he's pacing in the hallway and driving us all off to jail and stuff like that. So,
well, did anybody, when you were being arrested and being driven around, stuff like that, and booked, did anybody mention anything about that, the Facebook stuff and all that? The cops?
Oh, I'm pretty sure we were probably all talking about that and other stuff.
But did the cops say, hey, we saw you writing stuff about us on Facebook?
Oh, no, they didn't say anything like that.
Nothing like that, okay.
But, when you see the guy who you're writing about and talking about, Hart Noecker was writing about him, and then next thing you know, he sees the cop he's writing about, and then I was speaking at City Hall, and then, he's pacing around in the hallway and driving us off in the van to get processed. It's kind of, I actually did an ambush interview with the mayor this week, and I confronted him about targeting and also Amanda Fritz, the city commissioner, and Steve Novick, another city council member. But yeah, so they were basically targeting journalists for sure and critics of the police.
Yeah, I would like to put Bob on so you guys could ask questions.
Yeah, sure.
Take on it. But just one quick detail about Bob's arrest. I haven't uploaded his video to the interweb yet, but you can hear a sergeant saying from the other side of the police line, they're pointing at Bob and they're all, yeah, that guy, the guy with the camera. You actually hear him saying that and point at Bob, and then they arrest him. But here's Bob, guys.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Bob, how are you? Hey, Bob, do you want to give your last name or just your first name?
My last name's West.
Okay, so Bob West, and you're working with the Portland Film Police.
Yes.
Okay, well, tell us what happened, during the 29th there.
Me and Mike and Keith were over there getting ready to film, and then when the march started, we were filming and stuff. And there were several instances where I got between the police and the protesters. That's part of what we do, is we sit there and we film police interactions and stuff like that. So when you do that, you can't sit behind everyone, so you sit up in front. And over there by Macy's, there was verbal confrontation, and the police backed up. And then next thing I know, there's all these flashbang grenades going off all the way around me and stuff. I felt funny after that. It's hard to explain it. but I didn't think nothing of it. It's like, okay, well, I got to march with them some more and film some more and stuff, right? This is probably gonna get good. And then, so we did the march. We went around the police department and the jail, because in Portland you got the city police and the county jail in the same building and part of the court. And the protesters laid down. A bunch of the protesters laid down. Well, I was sitting up on the sidewalk filming it, and then I noticed I noticed a criminalist and another officer, and I went over to talk to them and get their take on the situation, right? And then all of a sudden we heard over the loudspeaker that everyone was to get into the center of the street. And I'm like, what? And then I seen the riot cop hit someone with their baton, push them. And dude yelled at the riot cop, and the riot cop said, get in the center of the street. So I followed the officer's orders and went to the center of the street. Right. Now, remember, I'm still feeling funny. I'm still feeling dazed from the concussion grenade. Or whatever they call that, flashbang.
Yeah, because it is a concussion grenade, and it probably did cause a concussion.
Yeah.
Have you been checked out for that?
I did go into the hospital. They didn't do any X-rays, but they did do a CAT scan on me.
Okay. And let me ask you a question. Who's paying for that?
Fortunately, the state of Oregon.
Okay.
And so, while I was sitting there, all of a sudden, the riot cops came up and surrounded all of us and stuff, blocked us all off and stuff. I'm sitting there watching, I'm filming as I'm watching, and I see the sergeant point to me, one of the sergeants behind the riot cops. And I didn't hear it until I actually looked at the video, and Mike pointed out that the sergeant pointed to me and said, the man with the camera. And then two officers walked up to me in riot gear and said, you're under arrest. Or they said, you're coming with us. So I came with them, right? Because they already announced that everyone was under arrest.
Right.
So I went over, and then they turned me over to another officer. And this other officer walked me over, and they did this stuff. And I told him I was feeling funny, what happened and stuff. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it, And they cut off the tide, and they put me in handcuffs. And
hey, Bob, it's also important, too, that you point out just that you were telling them that you're a member of the media, even though, a lot of them already know that. So both me and Bob told them we're members of the press. So they were vocally told, as you saw in the video. I told them 20 to 30 times or whatever. But I'll let Bob talk some more, though.
I asked them if the media was allowed through, and they said no. And I did state a couple times that I was media, but when they're like, yeah, so what? Who cares? I just basically clammed up on that. But I got into the van with everyone else, and there was like 6 guys in there, and then the other van had, I think, 4 ladies, and drove us over to East Precinct, which is like 47th and Burnside, which is a long ways away from downtown. And I felt the reason why they did that was so that you'd be nice and tired by the time you got back to your car. And when I got into the holding cell, I told the officer and the detective that was questioning people that I'm gonna invoke my Fifth Amendment rights and not speak. And the detective said, okay. And while I was in there, I was still cuffed.
Wait, Bob. What kind of questions were they asking?
They didn't ask me a thing because I invoked my Fifth Amendment rights. I told them that through the door.
Yeah, but everyone else, what were they asking everybody else?
they're asking, were you laying in the street? What were you doing? What did you see? Who did you see? Who was running everything?
Really?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, now when you come into the holding cell, were you with regular people, like regular DUIs and guys like that, or was this everyone in there was protesters?
No, it was all
everyone
just,
in there was.
So
everyone in there was just protesters.
Okay, so they had your own guys, your own little section of protesters, of activists. But now
that's all there was in the entire East Precinct, from what I saw, was just protesters, and then you had the I Am Darren Wilson cop, Rich Storm, pacing in the hallway and looking in at everyone.
Really? So no one else got arrested that night for domestic violence?
I didn't see anyone.
Or nothing? There was no crime that night, but you guys.
Well,
that's great.
The funny thing is, too, is it was at the most peaceful point of the rally when everyone would have just gone home in about 20 minutes. It was.
Guess what,
it was
man?
like.
All we got to do is. No, wait. All we got to do is every night we arrest you guys, and there's no crime in Portland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well. Here's how it is. Say you go out and you do a crime, and the officers arrest you.
Yeah.
They take you straight to jail. Okay, if you're protesting downtown and they arrest you, they take you out to East Precinct.
Where the courthouse is.
No, there's no courthouse at East Precinct.
Okay.
The courthouse is downtown. They take you out to East Precinct, so you got to walk all the way downtown.
Gotcha.
To your car and stuff like that. So by the time you get down there, everything's done and gone, and you don't get blend back in.
Right.
But the thing is when I was in the cell, all handcuffed and stuff, because they had us in there for about 2 hours, all of us handcuffed. I was feeling dizzy, lightheaded, and I yelled to the detective, and I go, I need to see someone. He goes, well, you took your Fifth Amendment right. We can't talk to you. I go, man, I'm feeling dizzy.
Yeah.
I got high blood pressure.
I wanted you to die like that other guy or something.
Yeah, and then finally an officer walked up and asked what's going on. I go, man, I'm feeling dizzy. I got a headache, and I need to see someone. He goes, well, do you got any medical conditions? I go, I got high blood pressure. He goes, well, you're going to be released anyway. Are you sure you want to see someone? I go, yeah, I want to see someone. Are you positive? Yeah. Okay. So finally, he called over the radio, and then about 3 or 4 minutes later, he came back, opened up the door, had me go in and sit where the detective was, and a couple minutes after that, they had me stand up, and they took cuffs off. Right, and then right after they took the cuffs off, in came the fire department. And I noticed about that time they also released Keith.
Yep, I got out about 5-10 minutes before
that. Yeah, and so while when they took the blood pressure, the lieutenant or the guy that was did the blood pressure looked at the officer and said he needs to go to the hospital now. And the officer goes, well, he's being released. We'll just write him a ticket. So they wrote me a ticket, and then the ambulance came in, with their gurney and stuff, and heard what my blood pressure was, assisted me onto the gurney, and I was having troubles then. They want me to scoot it up. I go, man, I can't scoot up. My head's just killing me.
Really?
And they helped me scoot up. And then they took me out and stuff like that. As we were leaving as we were coming out the door, one of the paramedics goes, who's that over there filming? And I said, don't worry about him, And so they loaded me in the ambulance, and the paramedic in there asked the paramedic in the back to look out the back to make sure the photographer wasn't back there to, they didn't
yeah,
want
you
to get
can
him.
see the video at Mike Bluehair's channel on YouTube too. Anyone out there listening, you can see I filmed him getting taken into the ambulance and all that.
Well, you know what? Wait, this is a good time for a break, okay? Because we're going to take our half-hour break here, and we'll be right back. We have with us tonight Bob West, Keith Davis, and Mike Blue here. A couple of regular callers, Michael Gray and Christian Wallace. And we're discussing the arrest on December 29th. There was a Jesse Jackson rally there in Portland, Oregon. And for some reason, the police decided to arrest 10 people. And out of those 10 people, 3 of them happened to be members of the journalists reporting on the incident. I
actually did an ambush interview with Jesse Jackson and asked him about being an FBI informant. I asked him
really?
about the book by Barbara Reynolds, the minister lady who's in Washington D.C.
Yeah, I can't locate. I can't find her, man. I tried to contact her.
Hey, Ed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's polite or not to correct you, but that was November 29th.
Okay.
This month is December.
Okay, all right. Well, so okay, the time travel theory regarding this arrest is inaccurate. We know that for a fact. I've just been corrected by Bob West. It's not December 29th. It was November 29th. Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, but we'll be right back after this message from our sponsors. We'll be here with Bob West, Keith Davis, and Mike Bluehair, Michael Gray, and Christian Wallace. Okay, guys, we'll be right back with the Opperman Report after show right after these messages. Welcome back to the Opperman Report after show. I am your private investigator, Ed Opperman. Oh, wait, I'm your private investigator? I am your host, private investigator, Ed Opperman, host of the after show and the before show. And show is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report and get yourself a free audio book. Okay, now we're here tonight. We had Captain Ray Lewis, fascinating guy, really, really a guy that we got a lot of respect for. And now we have Mike Bluehair, another guy you got respect for. Mike Gray, another guy you got respect for. Keith Davis and Christian Wallace, and also Bob West. And when we left off, Bob was telling us about the arrests and stuff like that went on up there at on the 29th of November when Jesse Jackson came to town. How did the crowd receive Jesse Jackson, by the way?
Oh, God, let me talk about that.
Oh, no, wait, Mike Blue here having a heart attack.
Yeah, let's him talk about that.
Get your shield out, Mike. Go ahead.
I filmed it, but it was, I wasn't impressed.
Why would he go to Portland to begin with? Who invited him?
Well, I know exactly why he'd come to Portland.
Shoot.
Because ghouls like that guy will never waste an opportunity to, maximize the manipulation potential that can get from the spilling of human blood. Seriously, I mean, if you think about these old '60s, limousine liberal types that basically like to keep perpetuating the same tired paradigm that doesn't work. I mean, yeah, let's get a permit and let's march in the street and let's.
You want to know what I think brought him up was the whole
masturbate. Wait, just let me finish. Let me finish, okay? Yeah. Oh, what about the cop hugging? The what? Are you going back and finding out the conversation?
I think that as soon as that story broke about the guy giving the cop a hug, Jesse Jackson was like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm going to Portland, Oregon next."
Oh,
that was his next stop on the list. That little publicity stunt brought him up here too, and all that.
Reverend Jackson is an artist. I mean, the guy really knows how to manipulate a crowd. I think his speeches are artfully done, but he's basically going about and drumming up, support for his political ideology, which includes what Jesse Jackson is pushing for is a new federal institution. Oh, we need a new federal kind of cop to protect us from the other kind of cops that have been tyrannizing us for, hundreds and hundreds.
We'll get more tyrants on the job.
Yeah, that's what he's advocating for. That's Jesse Jackson's big fix. He wants us to go to marches, mentally masturbate, think we accomplished something, and then go home. And then he wants us to vote or lend him and his coalitions of ministers to help create a new federal kind of oversight board of the police, and we're still not going to get any accountability, and it frustrates me to no end. Okay, I'm done now.
He's like,
Sorry.
I'm an FBI agent, and I'm just up here trying to get more FBI jobs and more people like that, people on the team, so to speak. You know, like come on up here. You know, what's the little recruiting tool? Like, we need more tyrants to manage these other tyrants, so we need more tyrants.
Well, Ed, I think this is sort of crazy. You might too. They have all these officers and stuff like that, and at the East Precinct they have these detectives and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And they're dealing with the protests, which is all misdemeanor stuff, right? October 20th, my girlfriend passed away. She was 38 years old, and she told me and she told other friends that the night before her dad flushed her medication, life-sustaining medication, down the toilet and beat her up and threw her and her daughter out. And I've sat there and said time and time again, I want to talk to the police. I want to talk to detectives. I want to get this out. I want them to know what happened before, too much time passes and stuff like that. They won't do nothing. They won't take my statement. They won't do nothing. If I call, I get a blank wall. And yet, me and my son, we'll go out there and we'll protest in front of the house. We protest at the funeral. Because all the people that she was having problems with, that she wouldn't want around during her funeral, were there, by her family's wishes. But all of her friends, her boyfriend, which was me, and stuff like that, they're banned. They basically sat there and said none of her friends were allowed. And that all of her friends are drug addicts. I'm not a drug addict.
So they can waste the resources on having detectives working overtime to keep, black teenagers leading a bunch of white folks on marches, oppressing them and messing with their free speech, but they can't handle taking a statement about a murder. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and also I had this child molester that I've harassed before. He broke out a bottle and tried to break it over my head, and the cops didn't seem to care about that much. They're like, oh, well, we actually wish he would have done that to you, So once you start filming them, they don't like you, and you want to hold them accountable. Don't expect them to come running for me, Mike, or Bob to help us out on anything.
Yeah, don't expect for help at this point. But I would like to point out something about Reverend Jesse Jackson, okay? Because we can't forget another friend of the show and another brother in our struggle here, is the Reverend Pinckney over there in Michigan. And good old Reverend Pinckney, he's facing 7 years in prison. He's 67 years old, by the way, and he's facing 7 years in prison on these bullcrap forgery charges, some nonsense. The guy had a clipboard. He was taking signatures for a recall ballot, and some people signed twice, and they're going to put Reverend Pinckney in prison for 7 years over that. And Reverend Pinckney can't get any help from the NAACP or any of the local churches. As a matter of fact, Reverend Jesse Jackson, not recently, but previously to this, came to town and got a big, giant donation from Whirlpool, and all the bad went away in Michigan up there, where Reverend Pinckney's been working for all these years. So his sentencing date is coming up December 14th. If you want to go to his website called BHBanco, BHBANCO.org, you can read about his struggle. If you want to send him a contribution, it's Rev Pinckney, Pinkney, 1940 Union Street, Benton Harbor, Michigan, 49022. And keep in mind, his sentencing is coming up. We're trying to get a delay on that or whatever we can do. But he needs our support and our help, and anything you could send him right now, that's really frontline kind of stuff. We're all on the front lines here, but the Reverend right now is facing 7 years. He's 67 years old. And none of us want to wind up that way. And we would hope that when we're all 67, that the younger guys like us would be there to help out. And that's what I think of when I think of Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, Ed, I wanted to bring something else up about my girlfriend, Angie Slifer. And that is her parents, Angie's parents, has Angie's daughter. And, has basically sat there and explained to her daughter that her mom's death was my fault, which is not true. I was in the motel room until a friend of mine called, and then I went. I'm picketing that house every weekend on a Saturday or Sunday. Doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday. It's whenever I have for an hour, because I want people to know. They call the police all the time, and last week they called them twice. I want people to know that, everything's being brushed under the rug as far as my girlfriend goes. And I find it sort of funny that she died, and then all of a sudden I'm targeted by both flashbangs and also by arrests. And when I was in East Precinct, an officer walked up, looked at me, and then turned around and walked away, wearing blue jeans and a regular shirt. So I believe I am making some kind of progress there. I mean, they know I'm there. They know I'm not going to go away. But any help that anyone else can do, the coroner will not assist me in any way, shape, or form. So it's really aggravating because, I was assaulted. My son videotaped me being assaulted, and the police didn't do anything about it. The police said, well, you shouldn't have protested, which is really sad.
Well, the thing is, Bob, these are really complicated issues you're bringing up here. And what I would recommend you do is set up like a GoFundMe account, where you can explain all the details of that issue, and try and gather some support around that. Because I'll tell you right now, just trying to get it out here on the cuff, people aren't going to be able to receive what you're putting out there, And
right.
And if you can't get the story out 100% like you need to get it out, you could be doing yourself more harm than you are doing good.
Okay.
So my advice to you would be to set up a GoFundMe account and detail exactly all the problems that you're having there with your girlfriend who died. I don't know, because I'm having trouble following the story myself. And really get into that story rather than just try and just blurt it out here, in the middle of the show, because I don't think it's going to benefit you. And I can see that backfiring against you.
You can link it to your YouTube and Facebook.
Oh, yeah, man. I'll put it on my Facebook. I'll put it on the blog, too.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely put it on my Facebook.
Yeah.
But, the reason I think the reason why I got the flashbangs and arrest is because I've been making it plainly clear that there needs to be an investigation into her death. And I know the police department absolutely is not wanting to do that.
Yeah, so, I got you, man.
Let me tell you, man, cops keep score, too. I mean, they know who the troublemakers are, and they go,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know, man, because we had the whole Eric Scott show on here and the remote Africa stuff, and so we definitely know that they know who we are, and what's going on with all that kind of stuff, and the whole thing with the Bundy Ranch story that we did with the Millers and stuff. So there's no doubt that we are on the radar here over at the good old Opperman Report. So we're down to like our last 10 minutes in the show, guys. Okay.
Right on.
There you go, Keith. Hey, so by the way, one thing I want to bring up too is one thing I'm working on that a lot of people aren't, is I found out that there's a 14-minute unedited tape of Garner. What's his first name? Eric? Yeah, Eric Garner.
Yeah.
The murder of Eric Garner from start to finish that was taken by that guy Ramsey, who is now under indictment. By the way, a lot of people don't know that the guy who filmed that tape that you're watching on that little 3-4 minute.
He's the only one getting charges.
Right. Now, what he's being charged with is they're claiming that he took an unloaded .25 automatic pistol and stuck it in another guy's pocket. And there's no fingerprints on this gun, and somehow he's being charged with possession of that gun. Okay, and you gotta love this, man.
What guy's pocket? Whose pocket?
You know what? I don't know who the other guy is. To tell you the truth, we don't know. But all we know is he's being indicted for possession of a firearm because he took a .25 caliber handgun that has no fingerprints on it. It wasn't loaded, and he placed it in somebody else's pocket. And that's what. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, but there's a 14-minute tape.
He did all that while he was filming and juggling and all kinds of other stuff.
Different day. It was a different day, from what I understand. Yeah, and so he's being charged with that. But the thing is that there's a 14-minute unedited tape, and there's 4 other tapes on this. Now, I've been trying to get these tapes, okay? Now, what I found out is that a lot of people in the media have the 14-minute unedited tape, but they're not playing it. It's not on YouTube, and the media has it. They're not showing it, okay? Now, I'm getting it from Spike Lee. Spike Lee is sending me this tape, okay? The 14-minute unedited tape. And as soon as I get my hands on it, I'm putting it out there, okay? It's going to be uploaded all over the place. Maybe not on the Opperman Report channel because we don't want to get shut down.
But why isn't this on YouTube or anywhere?
Because it's evidence, But the media has it. Because I've heard...
Well, it should no longer be evidence because there's no indictments, right?
Yeah, you're right, but I guess this kid has a case going on right now. He has a lawyer. He doesn't want to, get him.
Oh, yeah, right, you're right.
There, but the tape is out there. It's in circulation, but they're not showing it on. Again, it's the same thing with Zimmerman. They're not showing it on HLN. They're not showing it on Court TV. They're not showing this tape. They show the 10-minute tape, which I've seen, which is the poor guy lying on the ground for 10 minutes dying. It's horrific.
Yep, that's what you get for trying to break up a fight in America. You get killed by the police, possibly.
Yeah, and the poor guy had 30 previous arrests for selling Lucy cigarettes. Can you imagine that, man?
Garner, the big guy?
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic that both these deaths, too, were actually, the one guy is selling loose cigarettes, and then the other guy, Mike Brown, is killed after he supposedly stole some blunts and stuff,
Yeah, I'd like you guys to take a good look at that. We've all seen the meme, that says, "Hey, look, he's wearing sandals here," and then when he's lying down, he's wearing.
Well, see, that's why I'm wondering if these events were staged.
Okay, well, Mike, then what I want you to do is go on images, and find pictures of Mike Brown lying there dead in the street.
I did. I was looking at him, and it's hard to see.
Yeah, right.
Because I looked at all of them.
It looks like he's wearing striped socks.
Yeah.
Underneath the
But it looks like he's wearing different clothes.
Oh, really? We'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Listen, put it together. I'd like to see it, but we can't. Mike, you send me a lot of videos, man. And I watch these videos, and so many times it's a guy saying over and over, "Well, this has to be. These are the same people. It's the same people. They have to be the same people. They have to be." And there's really no evidence that they're the same person or anything like that. But the narrator is saying over and over.
I mean, there's definitely a huge chance that it was filmed on different days too, or something like that.
Well, the store owner came out. He didn't make the report. First of all, he didn't make the police complaint. I don't know who. No one knows who did. Okay, he came out and said no, he didn't steal anything that day. Now I don't know what he testified in the grand jury. I couldn't find it in that paperwork I looked over. I haven't gotten into it yet.
Then why did he get in his face like that? I mean, he must have did something.
Could have been a different day. We don't know. And who knows what it was? Maybe they had some kind of argument about something else. We don't know. It's not in the testimony. It's not in the paperwork. I read most.
I mean, if you have enough video of someone, you could just edit it to make anything look like anything, practically. Oh, look, he's fleeing a murder scene. Or
they're saying that he was in that store robbing him and his friend.
Yeah.
And then he left that store, and they left that store walking down the street. The cops were called, and that Wilson came upon them as he was walking in the middle of the street, celebrating him and his friend.
No, but Darren Wilson did not know. This is in the testimony for a fact. He did not know about that cigar theft, at the time he confronted those kids.
Right.
According to his crazy story is that he confronted them, then heard the story over the radio, and then backed up his car, and then the kid crashes his door on him. But I think we've all seen that move that these cops do in their car, where they will yoke you out the window, or back up and hit you with the car door. We've all seen those moves. But there's another thing too, is because there are bullet casings right around the dead body. Now,
nothing about that makes any sense to me, really.
Because it's crap.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, you got to read all 5,000 pages of this.
Well, if he was so afraid of him, why didn't he just get in his car and shut the door and wait for backup?
Well, but the thing is when you read these documents in these 5,000 pages that we're okay, what you see is the prosecutor's own witnesses, his own experts sending emails to the prosecutors saying, "Hey, when are you going to release the crime scene photos to us? When are you going to release, the inventory? When are you going to release?" The prosecutor's not cooperating with his own witnesses. Okay, it's like the prosecutor's a defense lawyer.
We didn't even get to see those photos of Darren Wilson's little rosy cheeks till recently too. I kind of assumed the whole. I mean, we saw the photoshopped images a long time ago where it has some white guy that looks like he got the shit kicked out of him, but then
how come
now it just shows him with some little rosy cheeks that looks like he got a little sunburn in the middle of August,
Yeah, well, listen, we know there was a gunshot in the car, but we don't know how it happened, what went on there. We just don't know, because it's all, the rest is crap. This investigation is total crap from beginning to end, and all that I see from reading these documents is it seems like the witnesses that are the prosecution's own witnesses, it seems like when I would read this, it would be like these are defense witnesses trying to get the cooperation from the prosecution through discovery, and how you get stonewalled. That's routine. So this prosecutor was stonewalling his own witnesses, and that's how I'd like to leave the show off. Listen, it's 8:58. We got Mike Blue here. We got Mike Gray, Keith Davis, Christian Wallace, and Bob West. You guys want to leave us with any comments before we go?
You can check out my Facebook page for Multnomah County Cop Watch, or check out the Film the Police YouTube channel, Mike Blue Hair, or Film the Police Portland Facebook page, and that's basically all I got to say for contact info and all.
All right, great.
Ed, I got something to say. This is Bob.
Okay.
And I look at it this way. I want to film the police. I want to raise a fit. I want to do whatever's necessary to speak up for people that can't speak themselves. Even if it costs me my life, I will still do this because I believe in it, and I stand up for what I believe in. So I'll do Cop Watch till the day I die.
All right. Well, let's hope that's a long time from now, like 100 years. Okay, Mike, you got anything you want to add?
Mike's not here, right? Or not in the room, but I can get him. Mike, is there anything you want to add?
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
You know, in the immortal words of Huey P. Newton, the revolution has come. F the pigs. Yeah, that's where.
There you go, man. Off the pigs.
Yeah,
I think
man,
things are changing a little, at least the discourse of, all the discussion about all the militarization and police deaths and all this other stuff is actually, it's really getting a lot of people infuriated enough to take to the streets and almost on a nightly basis, And so I think if people actually keep up some momentum and keep doing stuff and filming the police and going and marching in the streets and all this stuff, that things could possibly change if people keep it up,
Well, Keith, as long as we can keep control of this, man, because this could be an Arab Spring where we're being set up, man, and they're going to give us a solution at the end, and it's going to be some kind of a leftist military dictatorship or whatever, and they're slipping, and just like they did in Egypt, with the Arab Spring, where they brought in what do you call it, the Muslim Brotherhood, which is totally financed by
they got kicked out though now.
Yeah, but it's still CIA controls that. The whole area, forget it. It's all controlled.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. So
people are being manipulated. That's for sure. They use every little or big thing and
you know what?
to their advantages.
If this whole rebellion right now was 100% that we could have confidence in it, people. Sharpton wouldn't be on TV asking for feds because he would be totally.
Bro, I got called a cop 2 times within the last week by some little amateur protesters in their 20s that just because I have a clean cut appearance, I got called a cop. And also Chris Ponte of Oregon Cop Block, which you can go on their Facebook page and look them up. He was called a cop. And I even saw a posting today on Occupy Portland's Facebook page that had pictures of him, and it said, "This guy is a police plant." And I had pointed out to the person who took the pictures that that's actually Chris Ponte of Oregon Cop Block, and you must not be a serious activist, or you probably would actually know who he was, since he's one of the biggest, people that keeps the police accountable, and he's far from a cop, So there's a lot of COINTELPRO stuff and infighting and all kinds of stuff coming too with all these protests that I've already witnessed personally myself,
I'm a Satanist sent by Aquino.
All right, so and on that note, we will end our show tonight. We will thank Mike Gray and Keith Davis and Christian Wallace. Our guest tonight was good old Captain Ray Lewis. We had Mike Bluehair and Bob West from Portland Film and Police. And we want to thank you all. Next we'll be right back with next week with Catherine McDonald on the good old Jeffrey McDonald case. That's going to be a huge show. And we're going to be on Wolf Spirit. They're adding us on next week. And also PSN Radio. And Wolf Spirit, PSN, and CJ Mars will all be carrying the after show. So from now on, the rest of my life, as long as I do this, I'll be doing 4 hours a night on Friday nights into exhaustion. Okay, but I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. CJ, we're going to drop out 9:04. I think I put in my grueling from 4 to 9 hours on Friday night. You've got my pound of flesh.
Thanks a lot, guys.
God bless you, Keith. Thank you, Keith, man, for being out there.
Right on, man.
God bless you, bro.